Hey everybody, this is Ro. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to have another very special guest here today who is helping us celebrate Second Chances Month. And I can't think of a better second guest to celebrate this month with us. So this is my brother, Arturo. I can't say your name nearly as beautifully as you can say it. I am the worst with accents. But why don't you tell us a little about who you are, a little about your story, how long you served. It's one thing when, and I think I've said this on every one of these interviews, but it's one thing when something comes out of my mouth because I say it in theory or from what I've experienced from this outside perspective, but to get it from that inside perspective from somebody who's actually lived it, I think is so much more meaningful for the people who are on the outside and watching this. So thank you for that. Okay, so going back a little bit further, what might you have done differently while still in prison, knowing the challenges you are going to face once released?
In my specific instance, really, I had accumulated some credentials that I thought I was going to be able to utilize right off of. Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
My dog's going to go crazy.
We love when puppies come on video. We had one the other day.
Yeah, I think for me, I wish I would have done some more research, and I spent the first 2 months trying to get employed in using the credentials that I kind of obtained while incarcerated. Yeah, this, even though I have a good track record in the latter part of my sentence, that doesn't translate into society. I didn't have the track record out here, so the credentials were, I don't want to say were useless, but it was difficult for me. Everybody wanted to give me a position. There was nonprofits, there was organizations that were willing to employ me, but not with any money. They wanted me to be a part of the organization. So I wish I would have done some more research on, or had the resources maybe to explore that side a little more. Now don't get me wrong. There's men that come home and are fortunate enough to use them, and that there's some examples that I've of men that I've been with, incarcerated with, that I have spoken with, that are using their credentials. I just wasn't able to because of maybe because of the area, maybe just because I was approached it the wrong way. But at the end of the day, I wish I would have done some more research and prepared myself employment-wise, because I knew I didn't want to go back into the factory work. I knew and don't get me wrong, I know I was never going to live the lifestyle that I had lived with the stuff that I was doing back in the supplementary and just the other kind of regular income. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to live that lifestyle, so I prepared myself to try to get in the position so I didn't have to get into factory work, and eventually I came to the realization that I had to get into factory work because I needed to start creating some, generating some revenue. Of course, because when you're rebuilding life, you can't rebuild too good without any finances. So, but during that two-month period of, I guess, realizing that I wasn't going to get employed in that field, it taught me a lot. I mean, it did, and as I look back, that's one thing that I wish I would have prepared better for. I wish I would have, and the crazy thing is I used to facilitate job searching classes and interviewing skills and things along them lines, but that was like the least prepared I was in that kind of area of my life. So and we teach in the classes, start reaching out to employers now, let them know you're coming home. But I didn't follow that advice. And I wish I would have, because I think that would have put me in a better position. I could have utilized some of my time that maybe I was, to be honest, outside working out and trying to get in better shape to come home. I wish I would use some of that time to kind of prepare for my employment, because that was, that's the foundation right there. You need employment to be the foundation to start doing other things and rebuilding your life. So that was the area.
Oh, that's such great advice. And just to clarify, your credentials that didn't transfer to the outside, was that coaching? Was that certifications? Was that schooling?
Well, so I have I have so many, but anyway, I have a teacher's aide apprenticeship, and of course, if you have felony, you can't work in the public school system. So that was out of the question. And the life coaching, I had organizations that were bringing me on, taking me to events. I was definitely within the networking kind of component of that, and I probably eventually could have maybe generated some employment out of those networking webs that I was creating, but it wasn't taking off fast enough. So I came to a point in that I had to make a decision, mainly because I wanted to get to my weekend passes in the halfway house, and they don't allow you to start doing anything else other than your regular kind of employment searching, and they allow you to 3 times a week go to the gym. At least my halfway house did. You go to the gym 3 times a week. You either job search or 3 times a week to gym and church. Those are your only passes, and you can't spend much time with family when those passes. So employment gets you to those halfway, them weekend passes in a halfway house, and 2 months was just too long. I needed to get to my family. I needed to start rebuilding and reconnecting with them. So, yeah, that's it.
It's completely understandable and kind of respectable that you did that, because you have to worry about that kind of stuff. I mean, you have to go where the money is when you, like you said, trying to rebuild your life. And it sounds like they just try to set you up to fail. So you're pushing and doing the best that you can, but if you don't have a job, then you're probably teetering, not you personally, but the person coming out is teetering. Should I just go back to that street life? Because I need money. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, I think what it was is I had so many different options, but I wanted to use the life coaching option. So I took vocational training in building trades. I took vocational training in AutoCAD, culinary arts. Just all the, like I said, the teacher's aid, the life coaching. So really I had some vocational training and college credits and things that were academically could be on the resume, but I wanted to be a life coach. That's where my purpose is, I think. And that's where I was, finding my fulfillment while incarcerated. And of course I wanted that to translate to society, and I still plan on that translating. So, yeah, so that was, sorry, I just needed to add that.
No, I like it. And believe me, I'm in the same boat. Me too. I eventually one day will get paid for this, but today is not that day yet. So I hear you. It's a labor of love right now, but, and thank you for doing this with me right now, because it's kind of a labor of love for you and kind of a dip back into the pool for the life coaching thing, because you're kind of coaching the people that are watching this. Okay, next question. What experience did you have in prison that most benefited you while transitioning home?
I think what benefited me the most was finding some like-minded men. I think that circle of influence that, we kind of talk about, it can work on both sides of the coin. You find that circle of influence of men that are, are thinking negatively and want to get back into what they were doing. And I guess trying to scheme and become better criminals, if you will. Right. That circle can be just as strong and maybe even stronger at times than some of the positivity that's within an institution. So that is the key, I think, component for me really was getting there and finding, originally just started off as a group of 10, and prior to that, we knew of each other, but we weren't kind of, we didn't have the synergy that we ended up creating towards the, through the creation of the program and really still to this day. But yeah, it was that positivity of like-minded men that was probably the key component for me, just because they pushed me, and I'm very competitive, and if somebody was using words that I didn't understand, I needed to go to the dictionary and find out what that word meant, so that next time I heard it or maybe even wanted to use it, I could use it correctly and properly. And it was just little things like that made me realize some of the things I was capable of and my potential. Really, them guys pushed me, they stretched me, they made me realize that I am smart and I do have a good head on my shoulders, and I could use all the creativity and the intelligence that I was kind of putting into the negative side of life, and use that on the positive side to kind of move my life in the direction that I wanted to move it. So, yeah, it was without a doubt that's it, without a doubt.
Yeah, I can say I've known this a really long time, and those few years that you guys were together doing that, it was like magic. And I remember that you had people come in from the outside, like high up, like, right, U.S. attorneys and judges and people from rancher organizations, mind blown. Like, how this is happening inside of a prison. Like, this could be $1 million whatever training program. You guys had such magic there. It was so beautiful, and I'm so sad that it's you guys aren't, I'm happy you're out, but I'm so sad that it's not still happening.
Well, just kind of touch on it. It is still kind of happening. The outer component is kind of moving forward. We still are in talks with the United States Probation Office in Pittsburgh. As you know, our brother Jason's there. Mike Talley's also there, and they both are working harder than ever to kind of help us move it forward. And we are, without a doubt, taking steps in kind of creating and solidifying that outer component. So we still are in the works of it, and it is still kind of a project, if you will, but it's going to get to a point that we all had talked about and foreseen. It needs everybody, really. So bits and pieces are coming together, and in the near future, we're going to get them last two components that I think we need, and Adam and Keith. And Keith will be home probably December, and we know Adam's coming home soon, and definitely gonna kind of push that forward. And if it doesn't kind of go within the Federal Bureau of Prisons, then we definitely have the ability to kind of take that elsewhere. And as you said, it's a program that could be a high caliber type of program, but it doesn't need to be within and just an institution. It can go into any entity and really help the culture and people kind of get to better places in their life. So
that's awesome. I didn't know that, but you guys will be meeting Mike and Jason this month, and hopefully, well, definitely Keith eventually, and hopefully Adam very soon. They've met him through voice, and I hold up this little stick with this blow up picture of his head. It's kind of mortifying for him, but so they know of him. But thank you for that. I had no idea. That makes me so happy. Okay, next question. Did I ask you this? What was the most single valuable resource you had access to during your transition? Did I ask you that one yet?
I don't know about the resource aspect. What's the question before that?
The question before that was what most benefited you, and that was, I think, when you answered about coaching, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the single most valuable resource you had access to during your transition?
During my transition, I really was the resource of my family. You know, that my family structure and just everything they were willing to do and sacrifice for me was without a doubt why I am where I'm at right now. They throughout my incarceration gave up a lot and supported me probably more than I deserved at times, but that was the biggest resource. And you know, I don't want to kind of just leave it at that, because there's so many other resources that were there, and I just didn't take advantage of them. I'll just touch on one of them that kind of helped me in kind of obtaining a CDL since I've been home, that I haven't even used yet. But Goodwill had a training to work program that I entered into while I was in a halfway house, and outside of my family, that's the other resource that kind of had helped me get to a better place and really have something in my back pocket that I could possibly use to kind of advance annual income if I really wanted to kind of engage in that sort of on the road sort of life. I'm just not ready to go on the road and be away from family yet. I was away for too long, and I'm not ready to disconnect from them quite yet. Although sometimes they upset me and make me want to disconnect, I'm not going to at this point in my life. So.
Do you ever do the card sort, the values card sort? Is family your number one?
Family's always in there.
Me too.
Family and love, I think, is definitely part of that. Yeah, but I'm going to be completely honest. I've been spoiled all my life by my family. I'm the baby. My closest sister is 8 years older than me. So I got 3 older sisters, 10, 9, and 8 years older. And of course, growing up with them and my mother, and just being kind of loved and spoiled. And I continue to be loved and spoiled. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm aware of it now. When I was young, in my younger years, I wasn't too aware of how good life was for me. And I'm fully kind of realizing that and cognizant of how grateful I should be for them, because like I said, they were the biggest resource. If it wasn't for my family support, not sure where I'd be.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I love that kind of reframe and perspective flip and the gratitude there, because it is a blessing that not a lot of people have. That's awesome. Okay. So what essential resource was missing throughout your transition?
For me, just because I was so engaged in a group of men, that the camaraderie that was built with that group, that was, I didn't have no one to bounce ideas off. I'm going to be completely honest. You get to a halfway house, it's worse than prison. There's the negativity that I once partaked in while incarcerated. Man, it's rampant in halfway houses. The stuff that go on at halfway houses is literally kind of crazy. And then we wonder why the recidivism rate is so high. It's because some guys coming home, they just, they want to get back to their regular life and hanging out and doing what they used to. And you just can't do that. So anyway, I think for me, what it was is I didn't have anybody to kind of bounce ideas off, to really kind of, I guess, use their experience. Prior to me, I didn't have no one to reach out. There were some guys that were home that I kind of reached out to, but everybody has their own individualized sort of experience, just because of geographically how things are set up. For me, that was something I wish I would have connected with someone that maybe had gone through the halfway house that I went through, so I wasn't so shocked when I got there. It's culture shock just coming home after, a decade and some change being incarcerated, but just coming home. And, when I left, we were using Nextels, and coming home to kind of using freaking smartphones, it was a culture shock in and of itself, just the transition. But, coming home and then seeing that stuff, and then not really having anyone to kind of help, not necessarily mentor me, but just kind of hey, just tell me, hey, you're going to be all right. Just, kind of go this route. And maybe that is sort of a mentor sort of, I guess, hat that I would have wished somebody was there to wear for me. But, yeah, I didn't have that. So, and even when you reach out to guys that have been home and you've kind of built a rapport or bond with, they're actively engaged in their life and going through their experiences. So it's almost like you want someone to be a sounding board, or to kind of help guide you when they really can't be, because they want you to be a sounding board and help guide them, Yeah. So it's I think that's really what I lacked in as far as resource coming home, just someone to tell me how things are going to be. Because honestly, when you get to the halfway house, you think it's going to be a certain way. You think you're going to be with family right away. You think you're going to be able to go and come as you please, have some, blocks of time where you're gone. And really, it's not like that at all. So it kind of shocked my family too, that they couldn't see me as much as they would have wanted to right out of the rip, I guess, right off the rip and coming home. So.
I love that. And commercial break for all of you guys that remember or have ever used a Nextel, please put a thumbs up emoji for our brother in the comments, so the two of us aren't the only ones that feel so old. Yeah. I tease Adam about the same thing. I'm like, oh, just wait until you can get your hands on one of these, Mr. Nextel.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone planning to be released from prison within the next 90 days?